Any background noise. If you would like to ask a question during the conference, please press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. To withdraw your question, press the pound key. I would now like to turn the call over to Mike Kern. Please go ahead.
Thanks, Stephanie, and let's get right to it. We do have Coach Greg Lansing of Indiana State on the line with us. The Sycamores finishing their regular season with a win against Bradley. They'll take on Illinois State in their first game of the tournament. The game is 8:30 on Friday. Illinois State, Indiana State, 3 versus 6, and we welcome Coach Greg Lansing to the phone. Good morning, Greg.
Morning. How are you?
How are you?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Thanks. Yeah,
good. Not a whole lot of secrets at this point about Illinois State, but if you could open it up with a general statement, then we'll get to the questions for you.
Well, this weekend it was just nice to win. We had really been struggling in a lot of different areas, and the guys were getting a little bit down on themselves too. And it was good to get a win and stay out of the Thursday games. We got a little help from Coach Henson and the Salukis Saturday night, and now we know we're playing a little better now. Need a really good week of practice because Illinois State is outstanding, and the last time we saw them, they kicked our butt. So we got a lot of improving to do before then.
Thank you, Coach. Questions for Coach Greg Lansing.
Please press star and the number 1 to ask your question. Again, that's star and the number 1.
Greg, you're going to get off easy.
I like it. Worked last time. We'll see you soon.
I'm not going to make you stay in the line.
All right.
We'll see you on the Wednesday or Thursday.
All right. See you.
Thanks, Greg. Our next scheduled speaker is Ben Jacobson of Northern Iowa. We'll hold for just a moment until we have Coach Jacobson with us. A couple of notes on the schedule for today and tomorrow regarding all-conference for those that are on the line here. We will announce the all-conference team at 10 o'clock a.m. Central Time tomorrow, followed by a 2 p.m. afternoon announcement of the specialty award winners. That'll include all the top player awards. The Coach of the Year will be announced on Thursday for the first time at the Coach of the Year banquet. That is at the Union Station Hotel, the headquarters hotel on Market Street. We will have a specialty conference call with the top award winners tomorrow at 2:30. It's the same number and same passcode for those of you joining us. That'll be 2:30 Central tomorrow, featuring our Larry Bird Trophy winner, our Newcomer of the Year, our Freshman of the Year, our Defensive MVP, and our Sixth Man of the Year. This year's tournament will feature 3 teams that have 22 wins. For the first time in our 40-year tournament history, we've had several tournaments that have had 3 teams with 20 wins, but this is the first one that has 3 teams with 22 or more. And that, of course, is Southern Illinois with 22, and both Wichita State and Evansville sport 23-win seasons heading into the tournament. All of our games will be televised in HD this year, again for the 4th or 5th straight year. For the first time, though, we will be on CBS Sports Network on Saturday's semifinals. That's a new format for us, which requires the games are 1 hour later, 2:30 and 5 o'clock Central tip-off times approximately for those games on Saturday. And again, the final will be on CBS Sports nationally on Sunday at 1 o'clock. And at this time, we are joined by Coach Ben Jacobson of Northern Iowa. Panthers are the 4th seed. They'll take on 5th-seeded Southern Illinois in the 4th game of the tournament. That'll be on Friday at 2:30. At this time, we'd like to welcome Coach Jacobson to the phone. Morning, Jake.
Hey, good morning, Mike.
Just a brief opening statement from you, and then we'll open it up for some questions for you, taking on the Salukis on Friday.
Yeah, I guess before I talk about the game, Mike, if I could take a quick second and put a plug in for Wes and that darkhorsedunker.com, the competition that Kuhn Purcell and Wes have both been a part of. If everybody could spread the word on that, Wes is in the semifinals right now, and the voting for that one ends on Wednesday. If he wins on Wednesday, then it would be a full week again for what would be the championship to send him to the Final Four. So if everybody could send that out and around or throw it out on social media, whatever you can do to help Wes out, that'd be much appreciated. Our game with Southern, obviously they're coming off a really good win on Saturday. Had a chance to watch that game, live or on TV as it was being played, and Missouri State played well, and Southern had to fight them off and played great down the stretch, and so they're going into the tournament with a good win. I thought we played great on Saturday. Hard-fought game with Marty and his guys, and really proud of our guys for how they played in that game. That was a tough, hard-nosed game. So we're coming off a good one as well.
Thanks, Coach. Let's get to the questions now for you. Questions for Coach Ben Jacobson.
Your first question comes from Andrew Lowe with the Des Moines Register.
Coach.
Morning, Andrew.
Morning. Wanted to ask you, with all the rules and emphasis of free-flowing basketball, your guys' defensive numbers still kind of line up to what you guys were getting in the past. I think it's about 63 points allowed. How vital have Wes and Jeremy been in that, or is it an overall scheme thing? But it always seems to me Jeremy and Wes kind of can lead you guys on defense.
Yeah, they've been extremely important to it because we're gonna put one or both of those guys on the other team's best player or players. So their ability to defend the best guy or guys on the other team, Andrew, is important for our defense. I'll tell you what's helped us the most and what's changed the most is for the better part of a month now, our team defense has changed a lot. Clint Carlson, Bennett Cook, Wyatt, Ted, as sophomores, they've started to play better, and our group has really come together at the defensive end of the floor. And our rebounding has gotten better. We're still not, we're not a great rebounding team by any means, Andrew, but it's gotten better. We're competitive on the boards right now, and we've just been a lot better defensively and in rebounding. But you got to have some guys that like Wes, like Jeremy, that have the ability to guard somebody one-on-one or play against the other team's best player and at least make it difficult for them. And both of those guys do that for us.
Well, do you have to, you kind of talk about the guys coming along starting about a month ago. Did you expect that a little bit, or were there times you thought maybe the growing pains were longer than you might have hoped?
They were longer than what we were anticipating for sure, Andrew. And everyone's well aware. And we had a couple of the biggest wins in our program's history in the non-conference. And but even at that time, Andrew, we weren't. Our defensive numbers were not where they needed to be, and it's taken until really again this last 4 or 5 weeks where our defensive numbers have started to fall in line with where we were expecting that they would be. So it took a little longer than what we thought at that end.
Cool. Thank you, Coach.
Yep. Thanks.
Your next question comes from Steve Porter with the Alton Advantage.
Morning, Coach.
Yeah. Good morning.
You talked a little bit about Wes Warspun. What impact has he had on your team, and does he sort of serve as your catalyst, or how would you describe that?
Yeah, he does. He's had his impact has been, it's been all all over our program. His footprint or imprint, I guess, however way you'd like to say it. He's been terrific for us. On the court, defensively, he's taken on the challenge of the other team's best player and done a great job of it. And he knows, and he'll be the first one to tell you, he gets help from his teammates. But at the same time, he really he enjoys that challenge. And he's risen to the occasion for us. when he's had to play against an opponent's best guy, and then offensively, yeah, he makes us go. He's in transition. He's got the ball in his hands, and using the ball screen. Making plays for us to force help so that he can get his teammates involved. He does all those things, on the floor with in terms of making plays. But I would tell you he's more his emotional leadership, his enthusiasm, his stubbornnness. Those are the things that have really made a difference for our program over the course of his time with us. He's brought a lot to us from a leadership standpoint.
Thank you.
Yep.
Your next question is from Harry Schroeder with the Valley Hoops Insider.
Hey, Ben, I'm just pondering what an elite and special group of seniors on your team, but right across the league. I don't remember a year when the seniors have been so many guys with so many kind of historic numbers and wins and those kind of things. Can you just reflect back on this senior class?
Yeah, I agree with you, Harry. It's been a while since all of or most of the top guys in the league have been seniors, right? I mean, and part of that is, this group of guys. You look at, Fred and Ron and DJ, and those guys have been on the all-conference teams for a couple of years, right? So they've been the sophomores, they've been juniors. There hasn't been as deep a senior class that I can remember, at least, to have had the impact that they've had, and they're going to be the ones on the all-conference teams, and they should be. I don't. As I think about it, there's the teams have usually been led by seniors, the better teams in the league, and those guys have always kind of stood out. But across the board, Harry, I agree. I mean, and I hate to start singling guys out because there's so many of them, and for different reasons for what they've done for our league. But boy, they've won a lot of games. As you mentioned, they've got the individual awards, and they're good young guys. I had a chance to see DJ just prior to the game on Saturday, and just talk to him for 30 seconds, and after the game, spent just a little extra time in the handshake line, talking to him again, and you could say that about a lot of these seniors in our league, Harry. They're good young guys, and they have been, as we all know, they've been terrific for our league.
Thanks, Ben. We'll see you this weekend.
Okay, thanks.
Your next question is from Josh Betts with SportsBeat.com.
Hey, Coach, just a two-part question for you here. I'm curious your thoughts on how maybe Southern Illinois maybe has changed as a team since your last meeting with them at the end of January. And then also, you've talked quite a bit about the improvement of your bench here in the second half of the season, more specifically with Clint and Wyatt. Do you feel like they're increasing production? Has that maybe taken some pressure off of your starters, and maybe more specifically Wes, Bo, and Paul at all?
Yeah, I would tell you, Josh, that those guys, just getting more comfortable and gaining some experience, and I would throw Ted in there as well. Ted hasn't played as many minutes, but all three of those guys as sophomores, and even though Bennett's in the starting lineup, his improvement has made had a significant impact on our team as well. Those four guys getting better is part of it, but this team becoming a team, if you will, I think has been one of the bigger changes for us, and it took a little bit longer, as I talked about earlier today. It took just a little bit longer than what we had hoped in terms of getting everybody on the same page and everybody feeling good about what they're doing. But I think there's no question that the improvement of those young guys and everybody getting on the same page has made a real difference for us. And in terms of Southern Illinois, Josh, they've had a terrific year, great non-conference, and they great start to league play. The second half of the league wasn't as good for them from strictly from a record standpoint, but I would tell you, man, they've just had a terrific year, and Barry and his guys deserve a ton of credit for the year that they've had. So, obviously we know it's going to be going to be quite a game on Friday.
Sounds good. I look forward to seeing you this weekend.
Thanks, Josh.
Jake, that was your final question. Thank you for your time this morning. Good luck in the tournament. We'll see you this week.
Thanks, Mike, and keep pushing that dunk contest for Wes when you get a chance.
Yeah, the whole dark horse thing. If anybody has seen him play, he's not a dark horse in my mind. Tremendous.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I appreciate it. Thanks, Mike.
Okay, all right. We are joined now by Coach Ray Giacoletti of Drake. Drake opening up the tournament against Missouri State on Thursday at 8:30. It's the second game of the day on Thursday. At this time, we welcome Coach Giacoletti to the phone. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing fine. Thank you.
Congratulations on closing out the regular season with an overtime win against Loyola. These guys were scuffling and finally got one in the win column.
Yeah, we I was happy for our guys. They certainly deserve it. They've hung in there, and we got a young group, and they found a way to finish something. We haven't done a very good job of that in the conference, and so hopefully got a little confidence going into St. Louis now.
Thank you, Coach. Let's get now right to the questions for you. Questions from the media for Coach Ray Giacoletti.
Press star 1 to ask your question. The first question is from Andrew Lowe with the Des Moines Register.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Andrew.
Hey, when you look at the games with Missouri State, the scores were very similar in range and also the final margin. The other thing is they kind of controlled you guys, or limited you guys shooting-wise. If you had them up, it's both they're under 40%. What did they do defensively on you that gave you guys problems?
Well, they're playing zone, and until you crack the zone and get that figured out, they're not going to change. And so we did a decent job here at home. I mean, we were up and got him out of zone, and Boone got hurt his ankle, and then we just had, for whatever reason, weren't as effective against their man. Last week in Springfield, they literally darn near every possession played zone, either 1-3-1 or that 1-1-3. And we just did not attack it. And the other piece that we've got to do a good job of, they had 18 points in transition. Our half-court defense was solid. We cannot turn the basketball over, and that leads to run-outs for them. And that's something, if we can get it eliminated, it gives us a better opportunity on Thursday.
The other thing that struck me from the other day is Ari ended up with 15 rebounds. Is that it's something you want, but is that something in design, or is that just kind of Ori positioning himself well?
No, I think Ori doing a good job going back and getting it. I mean, we grade rebound efficiency, which means did you step back and box out? And so if your bigs, your 4s and 5s are doing that, there's a time where maybe Ori's guy is not going to the glass, and him coming down and trying to clean it up for us is probably the reason why he's coming up with so many. But either way, he's being aggressive. He's tracking the ball, and 15's an unbelievable number, and we need to have him sustain that.
Cool. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Coach, that was your only line of questioning this morning. Thank you for your time, and good luck against Missouri State in the tournament.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Ray. Let's get right next to our next coach. It is Paul Lusk of Missouri State, the Bears, of course, taking on Drake on Thursday. Morning, Paul.
Morning, Mike.
As Andrew had mentioned, the Bears had won both games against Drake in the regular season. Just a brief opening statement from you, and then we'll open it up for some questions for you.
Well, we just played them, so I think Ray's done a great job, because when you go through some struggles, to keep them fighting, keep them hanging in there. And prior to our game, they played Evansville close. They've really hung in there. They came in here and were very competitive against us. And then to beat Loyola the other day is outstanding for them. So it'll be a new game, and their big kid is arguably been about as efficient as anyone in the league here since he's started playing. He's tough to deal with.
Thank you, Paul. Let's get now to the questions for Coach Paul Lusk of Missouri State. Questions from the media.
Press star then the number 1 to ask your question. Star then the number 1.
Paul, you referenced Dominic Olenicek of Drake, but talk about your big, and that would be Cameron Boone, and how he's been playing of late. Has been very well.
Well, he has. You know, Mike, Ray mentioned it. The first time we played him, he blew his ankle out and missed a couple games. And, you know, unfortunately, he turned it the other night again, hurt it in a Southern game. It really was kind of hobbled, but we got some rest. We got to get him ready. He still had a double-double. He's a good player for us. You know, we need him to be solid. He was very good against Drake a week ago. I thought Tyler McCullough helped us in our zone against the big kid. You know, we'll need everyone to contribute at this time of the year.
Thanks, Paul. And there are no questions in the queue. We're not going to make you stay on the line, but appreciate your time this morning. Good luck against Drake on Thursday.
Thanks, Mike.
Just a minute or two ahead of our scheduled time for Coach Barry Hinson, but we do have the coach on the line, so we'll get to the coach. And Southern Illinois playing Northern Iowa in the first game of the tournament, the fourth game actually, but the Southern's first game, the 4-5 game at 2:30 on Friday. And at this time, we'd like to welcome Coach Hinson to the phone. Morning, Barry.
Morning, Michael.
Let's talk about Northern Iowa. If you could open up with a brief comment on the Panthers, and then we'll open it up for some questions for you from the media.
Well, I think we're playing the hottest team in the Missouri Valley Conference. They've won 9 out of their last 10, and they're playing with great confidence right now. And, you know, Ben always does a phenomenal job with his ball club. They always play their best basketball at the end of the year. They went through a little period of time where they slumped a little bit or had a period where they were struggling, and they're certainly through that now. I mean, if you were taking a test and you'd scored 90%, you'd get a smiley face on your paper. So I think I don't have a problem making the statement that we're playing the hottest team in the Missouri Valley Conference.
Coach, thank you. Let's get to the questions for you. Questions for Coach Barry Hinson from the media.
Press star then the number 1 to ask your question. Star then the number 1. Our first question comes from Harry Schroeder with the Valley Hoops Insider.
Good morning, Barry. I was asking Ben a minute ago about the across the board, the outstanding senior class. You've been in this league a long time, and you know, it's kind of hard to compare, but how would you assess just the depth and the talent and really the historical abilities of this particular senior class?
Well, I'll have to agree with Ben. I think it's been extremely special, but at the same time, Harry, it's hard to compare because, you know, this league's always had good seniors. And you look back at the day that I was at Southwest Missouri or Missouri State, you look back in the days of, there was a time period when Southern Illinois could have had 3 guys on the all-conference team, including Creighton or Northern Iowa. So, you know, I think it's just a representative of how good this league is and has always been. And that's the byproduct of having good teams and good competition. And I certainly think when you've got one of the nation's leading scorers, one of the nation's best rebounders, one of the nation's best point guards, you got one of the nation's best shooters, you've got the third-time all-time leading scorer in Southern Illinois history. You got a kid that's led his team to victories over 3 top 20 teams. I mean, I think that's pretty impressive.
I thought so too. Hey, and how is Anthony? I was watching your game the other night, and how is he?
We've gone through all of our protocol. I don't play possum. I wish I could, but I'm a bad Texas Hold'em player. You'd read me like a book. We anticipate that he's going to play. He has not been cleared to play as of yet, and he won't be cleared until Wednesday or Thursday. He cannot practice at this time until Wednesday based on protocol at this time. If he does not do well on his test today, it'll be pushed back to Thursday. It just keeps getting pushed back every day. So, but we anticipate that he'll play. We don't play possum at all.
I didn't expect you to. We'll say a prayer.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Barry.
Hey, put me on that list when you go with it as well.
I sure will.
Your next question is from Todd Hipperman with the Southern Newspaper.
Hey, Barry, you talked about when you were at Missouri State, the SIU's been a part of 3 of the top 4 attendance figures at March Madness. Is the Valley that much better when SIU is a factor?
Well, I think financially, Doug Elgin would tell you yes. I can remember, Todd, back in the day, I can remember running out of that tunnel in the semis and 23,000 people being in that arena. And the hair just stands up on the back of your neck. And I don't think it's just because of Southern Illinois. I think when you've got teams that are so regionally well distributed like we are in the Valley, and then you have a team like Wichita State that's good, Northern Iowa, Illinois State, Evansville, Southern Illinois, Missouri State. You take all those teams in the region, and the next thing you know, you look up, and golly, I mean, those crowds, when those teams are doing well, those crowds follow extremely well. And I just think that's what makes it, in the truest form, Arch Madness.
Do you expect to have another big crowd, another home court atmosphere kind of there this week?
I don't. Well, I'll just say this: we sold out of our allotment a month ago, and I think that bodes well and speaks well of our fans. I don't think because Northern Iowa simply they're coming in with some people project them to win the tournament. So I think they'll have a great crowd too. I hope our fans come out. Shoot, I hope it is yes that we have a home crowd atmosphere, but I do think our fans will show up in droves.
Thank you.
Barry, that was it for you. Thanks for your time this morning, and we'll see you in the tournament.
See you, Michael.
All right, bye-bye. Next to join us is Coach Marty Simmons of Evansville. Evansville is the 2 seed. They tied for second in the standings with Illinois State with a 12-6 conference record, 23-8 overall record. Win the tiebreaker with the Redbirds by virtue of overall season RPI. The team split in the regular season. The Aces don't know who they'll play yet. They'll play the winner of the 7-10 game featuring Missouri State and Drake. That Missouri State-Drake game is the second game Thursday night. At this time, I'd like to welcome Coach Marty Simmons to the phone. Good morning, Marty.
Good morning, Mike.
I won't ask you to talk about your next opponent because you don't know who it is, but if you could make a general statement, opening statement, then we'll open it up for some questions for you.
Yeah, we got a lot of respect for either one. Paul is someone that, with the injuries and things that has happened with his team, I think he's just done a terrific job. And his young players, I think, have really developed, and they're always, hard to play against. And Ray, I got as much respect for him as anybody, and they had a great win against Loyola. Lytic, the big kid inside is really good. Got great hands, and Timmer's someone that is really hard to play against, and they do great things offensively. They're hard to play against from a defensive standpoint. So it doesn't matter who we play. We know that we're going to get a very, very difficult opponent.
Thank you, Coach. Let's get now to the questions for you. Questions from the media for Coach Marty Simmons.
Press star and the number 1 to ask your question. Our first question comes from Harry Schroeder with the Valley Hoops Insider.
Hi, good morning, Marty. I'm asking guys about this deep senior class. You obviously have a incredible senior group there in your school, but talk about the senior class in general across this league.
I think it's outstanding. I mean, obviously the guys at Wichita State, gee whiz, you probably write a book with everything they've done, not only, for Wichita, but, for the league and just outstanding. And Anthony Bean has I think had as good a year or better year than anybody in the league. I mean, he just really elevated his game. And we just played Northern Iowa, and I think they had 3 seniors that were outstanding. You look at Illinois State. I mean, you just go right through the list. I mean, there's just a lot of really good experienced guys that I think have had a great impact not only on their institutions but the league as well.
Thanks, Marty. Good luck this week.
Thank you, Harry.
Your next question comes from Todd Hefferman with the Southern Newspaper.
Hey, Marty, you got one of the best starting fives in the league, if not the whole Midwest. But how much do you think your bench will play a role in you advancing in the tournament when you got to play possibly 3 games, 3 days?
Yeah, I'm not sure, Todd. I guess we're going to find out. We've gotten a little bit better, but not a lot. We're really going to take these next 3 or 4 days and really challenge those guys to really be better in practice. I guess I don't have a good answer for you on that. I mean, I guess I never look at it as 3 games and 3 days. I'm sure probably every other coach in the league does, but we're concentrating on that first 40 minutes, and we'll adjust accordingly if we're fortunate enough to move forward.
Does it have a different tone for you this year, Marty, going into this event with this group you have?
Well, we're going to find out today. I mean, we were off yesterday, so they've been great all year. I mean, they're just like you would think. I mean, they're a veteran group that certainly, had high expectations, and we've had a great year. We've stumbled a little bit, but they enjoy playing together. I think they'll be really excited. I think they'll be ready to go today, and I think they'll have the energy and the enthusiasm to really learn from our mistakes on Saturday and get better this week.
And if I can just briefly take you back to Saturday, Northern Iowa, how big does Washburn and Morgan set the tone for them defensively with how they try to defend your best players, basically?
Yeah, they're good. They're good. They always are. I mean, Washburn, and I'm not taking anything away from those two individuals, but they're good. I mean, Morgan's got great length. He's tough. He's hard-nosed. He's got great basketball IQ. And Washburn, I mean, he's probably as good as any athlete in the league, and he's really competitive. I mean, he really competes, and a lot like a Baker in that maybe when you think you got a half a step on him on a drive or even a cut, his athleticism and his just competitiveness makes up for that, and he's able to challenge shots and even block shots. But I think both of those guys are really, incredible players.
Thanks.
Your next question is from Josh Betts with SportsBeat.com.
Hey, Coach. Certainly looking at your senior class, certainly DJ and Egidius are maybe the two of the more talked about seniors. But I wanted to ask you as well about Adam Wing. It seems like Adam's just a player that, really almost maybe fits that definition of a glue guy, if you will. Always seems to be, always seems to hit a big shot for you at an important time. Just discuss for me, if you could, what you've seen from Adam this year and just how important he is to your team moving forward.
Yeah, you nailed it, Josh. I mean, he is a glue guy. He's a great leader. I've talked about it. He's a guy who played football, and he has that football mentality. I mean, he's tough. He's hard-nosed. He blocks out. He screens. He dives on the floor for loose ball. I mean, guys like playing with Adam. I mean, he's got a good basketball IQ. He understands the game. You got to kick him out of the gym. He's relentless and getting in there and working on his game, and he lives in the offices talking to the coaches. I mean, he's had a terrific career and a terrific senior year, and that, again, you nailed it. I mean, he's hit a lot of big shots. He hit some big shots Saturday to kind of keep us in it and give us a chance there at the end. And just a great, young man. I mean, kind of a throwback, I mean, in today's world where everything is individual, he's a great teammate. He could care less if he scores a point. He wants his team to win, and he'll do all the little things that maybe don't get the notoriety just to help his team win.
Thanks. We'll see you this week.
Thank you.
Your next question is from Steve Porter with Alton Advantage. Go ahead, Steve.
Yep. Hello, Marty. How you doing?
What's going on, Steve-O?
Hey, just wanted to check in with you here. 3 teams with 22 or more wins in the league. Is the league getting better or deeper? And if so, in what way do you see that?
Well, I think it's been great. I thought it was great last year, and I think if Wichita doesn't have the injuries that they had early in the season, they probably are, close to where they were last year. I mean, they've done a great job of developing, their bench, and maybe they're better off now. I don't know. Greg would, but I think the league's really good. I mean, top to bottom, I think the parity is as good as it's been. I think it has been for the last couple of years. I think we've gone through a cycle here where we have a lot of older players, and I think you see that in the performance of the league.
Thank you, Marty.
Thank you, Steve.
Your next question comes from Jim Sullivan with the Waterloo Courier.
And a tight defensive battle like you had with UNI on Saturday, how much did that resemble tournament basketball, and how well does that prepare you for what you may face in the Valley tournament?
Well, I think it really helps, to be honest. I wish the outcome would have been different, Jim, but when you're playing teams, for the second and now the third time, I mean, you're gonna get some of that. That's just, the coaches and the players in this league are really good. They're talented. They work and they prepare, and I think when you look at it over the years, you've probably seen a lot of grinded out possession games. I think most coaches will go in there trying to get some easy baskets, looking to score off their defense and get some things in transition. But with everything that surrounds the tournament and everybody knowing, what it means, it does. It just seems that several of the games end up being grinded out, possession type basketball games.
Good enough, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marty, that was your last question. Thank you for your time, and good luck in the tournament. We will see you on Thursday.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Next coach to join us is Porter Moser of Loyola. Loyola will open the tournament with a Bradley game at 6 o'clock on Thursday, March the 3rd, and at this time we'd like to welcome the coach to the phone. Good morning, Porter.
Morning, Mike.
Talk about Bradley a little bit. You guys split at each other's place this year. If you could open up with a general statement, and then we'll get to some questions for you.
Now, Brian's brought along those young guys, I mean, tremendously. I mean, the second time we played them, just the confidence level that each one of those guys have. They've hurt us on the glass. They're a really good rebounding team, and I know they're going to defend really hard. So we've got to make some shots. We've had a year-long just have not shot the ball well all year, and it's just been an Achilles heel of ours. And hopefully we can make some shots against them on Thursday.
Thank you, Porter. Let's get now to the questions for Coach Porter Moser. Questions from the media.
Press star and the number 1 to ask your question. The first question comes from Dave Reynolds for the Peoria Journal-Star.
Porter, the last time I saw you guys, you were playing real well. How would you characterize how you kind of finished off the season in the last couple of weeks?
You know what? Going into the Wichita game, I think we had won 4 out of 5 with our only loss, the 1-point loss to Evansville. I thought we were playing well, and then we ran into Wichita, which, was a juggernaut. And then we went to Drake, and, we lost 2 guards. Earl Peterson and Tyson Smith were out, and so we were a little shorthanded. But I tell you, we're just struggling struggling the ball. I think in regulation we might have shot 28% or something in the second half, and just have not shot the ball well. And came up short. And so obviously that was a disappointing loss because you're hoping to get some momentum going to the tournament, no matter who you play. And I felt we got to, everyone's pushing the restart button going into the tournament. Everyone knows it's a different season upon themselves, but I'm not going to let that get us down. Losing these last 2 heading in.
What's the status of those 2 kids coming into the tournament?
They're still out right now. I'll know a little bit more as we get closer to Thursday. But Earl had his toe; it's like a turf toe, and then Tyson Smith will get an MRI, so we'll know it's his knee.
And then if I could just kind of have you review your games with the Braves this year, two pretty different games each time out.
Well, like I said, I think the second time, I think Bradley, the young guys have just gotten so much more confidence. I mean, they've logged a tremendous amount of minutes for freshmen, and you're not really freshmen anymore, down the stretch there. But, I think they defend and they play hard, and you got to give their staff and those kids credit because obviously they don't have the record they'd like, but you wouldn't know it by how hard they play, and that's a credit to their staff and Brian. I think they're athletic. They got some size. I mean, with Barker, Van Bree, I mean, they got some size. I also worry they've really hurt us on the glass. They've out-rebounded us, 9 and 11 in the two games. So we've really got to do a better job on the glass against them.
And then finally, I wondered if you could summarize Jeff White's career and what he's meant to your program.
I tell you, I know I'm going to be friends with Jeff White for a long time. I love that kid. I mean, he is such a great kid. He's battled a lot of things over his career. His impact on us is not, demonstrated or illustrated by his numbers. His toughness, his heart. He's going to be walking the stage for graduation this May, which I'm extremely proud of for him. And I love having him around. I love having him in practice. He's one of those guys every day in practice. I've never had to coach effort with Jeff White one time in 4 years. I always remember Jeff as overcoming a lot of things. He's had a lot of different things, fall in his lap and fall, against him in the last 4 years, and he just always bounces back, and that's why I know he's going to be a successful kid.
Thanks, Porter.
Thanks, Dave.
Your next question is from Paul Sublentop with the Wichita Eagle.
Hello, Porter. I'm trying to explain why Wichita State has been such a good defensive team this year. And from your perspective, is it their ability? They force a lot of turnovers, and then they rarely turn the ball over themselves, so they're always set up on defense. Is that a good place to start?
Yeah, it is a good place to start. I mean, when you're not turning it over and having, those run-out baskets, points off turnovers, that helps, obviously with it. But, I think they get it. I mean, it starts at the top with their coaching staff. I mean, there's no doubt that they know that defense wins championships because they've done it. And but here's a great example. We're up 20 with. I'm sorry. I wish I was up 20 against Wichita. We're down 20 against Wichita last week, and there's I don't know how much time was left. 4 or 5 minutes left, and we were on the free throw line. And Van Fleet was like yelling at his players, telling them what he was pissed that what just happened. And when you get your leaders putting that much emphasis and taking it to the heart, it permeates the team. It spreads through the team. I mean, it's contagious. And you watch how Baker defends possession by possessions. Watch him on handoffs. I mean, he doesn't let you get a simple handoff. He's as best I've ever seen. Guys, he'll deny and the strength off of handoffs. So, I mean, when your best players are doing that, everybody else falls in line. And it starts at the top with their coaching staff. I mean, they're really sound defensively, and they're very good rebounding. They don't give up a lot of offensive rebounds.
Yeah, you mentioned Ron after the game on Wednesday. But a lot of times they don't need to put him on the opposing team's top scorer because they feel like Brown and McDuffie can do that. How does that shape what they're able to do that, Ron can do other things?
Well, he guarded Milton, and the thing about Ron is he's got really long arms and he's really strong, and he knows how to use his strength without fouling. I mean, he can use his strength on. He can bump you off cutters. He uses his chest. He gets his arms extended. He's got long arms. He knows how to play great position defense, great physical defense without fouling. And, he's just a tremendous defender.
Thank you.
Your next question is from Josh Betts with thesportsbeat.com.
One question I do have for you here. In your game, when you came to Cedar Falls in mid-January to play UNI, in that game, you changed up your starting lineup a little bit, and then as the games went forward, stuck with that new lineup that started in that game for a period of time. I guess I'm curious as to in what ways did that starting lineup change was that a catalyst at all to the rest of your season and the success that you had looking back?
I don't think it was a catalyst. I think what it was just one of those things where you said to our seniors and Milton that you've got to just be better leaders and take a step back. If you show great leadership and great things like that coming off the bench, then we'll start with that. And they did that, and I've been really happy how they've responded. And just one of those things up until senior night. I started the seniors on senior night. It was just one of those things that we were playing better, and we went with it. And I kind of liked having those guys come off the bench because their attitudes were great. And like I've said many times, their attitude, they're great kids. I mean, it wasn't like we were doing it because they're being dogs. It just they were just putting so much. If they weren't playing well, their body language, their leadership and their defense wasn't there. And so they've been much better at that. And we'll see. We did change it up for senior night, but I don't think it was a catalyst. It was just one of those things you do, and it went in our favor.
Thanks. Look forward to seeing you this week.
Thank you.
Porter, that was your last question. Thanks for your time this morning. We'll see you in St. Louis.
All right, Mike. Thanks.
Thanks. Let's get right to our next coach, Brian Wardle of Bradley. Of course, the Braves playing Loyola in the first game of the tournament. This time we'd like to welcome Coach Wardle to the phone. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
So if you could open it up with a brief statement, and then we'll get to the questions for you.
Well, we're obviously excited for a lot of us here in the program. It's their first March Madness and first opportunity to play in the Valley Tournament. So I know our guys are excited for season number 3. We're getting healthier. I think these couple of days off are huge for our health and our bodies to recover a little bit after a physical game against Indiana State. But we know all we have to do is be better for 2 hours, and I think that's what tournament play comes down to, is anything can happen, and we got to be healthy, strong, excited, enthusiastic, which we have been all year, and be ready to play Thursday night against a physical and very good Loyola team. So we're excited, and we're ready to move forward.
Thank you, Coach. Let's get now to the questions for you. Questions from the media for Coach Brian Wardle.
Press star and the number 1 to ask your question. Star and the number 1.
Coach, there's no questions in the queue for you. Sorry to have you join us and not have a question, but thank you for your time this morning, and we will see you in St. Louis.
I get it. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Brian. We do have our next coach on the line with us. It's Dan Muller of Illinois State. The Redbirds are the 3 seed after tying for second place in the league's standings, losing on the tiebreaker. Of course, overall RPI is our second tiebreaker. Evansville, Illinois State splitting during the regular season. The Redbirds will take on Indiana State in the 3-6 game on Friday night. And at this time, we'd like to welcome Coach Muller to the phone. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm in the car, so sorry about the quality.
Oh, that's okay. You split with Indiana State this year. You had the better of it by a wide margin in the second game. Talk about your prep for Indiana State, and then we'll open it up for some questions.
Yeah, we played them so long ago in the first game, and then we recently, beat them at home, and they clearly did not play very well. We played great, so I think our players will be smart enough not to think this game will be easy. They got a couple guards to score the heck out of it, well coached, and it will be a tough game for us.
Thanks, Dan. Let's get now to the questions for you. Questions from the media for Coach Dan Muller.
Please press star and the number 1 to ask a question. Star and the number 1. Our first question is from Larry Schroeder with the Valley Hoops Insider.
Hey, Dan, I've been asking some of the coaches about the senior class today. It just seems like on virtually every team, you guys aren't exactly senior-laden, but on almost every team there's a real star player that's done a lot of historic things. Can you just talk about the quality of this particular senior class?
Yeah, it really is. I think I looked, and it's maybe 10 out of the top 12 scorers in the league are seniors. Of course, you've got pairs of seniors at certain schools, and we're gonna miss this group next year across the league. Got some guys that did historic things at their programs, so it leads to guys with experience in postseason play, of course, guys who've been through it, guys who've been to St. Louis and played a number of games. We've got 3 seniors ourselves. The unique thing about our 3 seniors, I guess, is 2 of them have been here 2 years and 1 has been here 1 year. So we don't have any 3 or 4 year guys, but we'll certainly miss those 3. And as I said, I think you'll see in St. Louis veteran teams, experienced teams, and I think that will show up.
And Dan, after your experience postseason last year as well, just how ready, maybe real tooled and ready to go for this tournament are you guys?
Well, I hope very ready. We took the day off, yesterday off, so we'll practice tomorrow. And of course, have 3 days of preparation for Indiana State this weekend. But that's what we focus on the most is just our preparation, being the mindset, being ready to go. I do think playing 3 games last year, and we had 3 tough games. I mean, our first game against Evansville was anybody's game until the end. Of course, our Wichita State game was anybody's game, and then for about 30 minutes or so, it was anybody's game against Northern Iowa. So I hope that shows up. I hope that experience shows up, and I hope it gives us confidence.
Thanks, Dan. Good luck.
Thanks, Eric.
Coach, that was your only line of questioning. We will see you in St. Louis. Good luck against Indiana State and the rest of the tournament.
Great, thanks.
Thanks, Dan. In a moment, we'll be joined by Coach Greg Marshall of Wichita State. Shockers are the top seed, winning their 10th overall regular season title in the 4th and last 5 years. And at this time, we'll hold for Greg Marshall, who'll join us in just a moment. And we are joined by Wichita State head coach Greg Marshall. Shockers are the number 1 seed again, and we'll play the winner of the 8-9 game that's featuring Loyola and Bradley. Wichita State's first game of the tournament is at noon on Friday. This time we'd like to welcome the coach to the phone. Good morning, Greg.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Okay.
Good. Let's get right to the questions for you. Questions for the head coach of Wichita State, Greg Marshall.
First starting the number 1. Our first question is from Paul Frolentrop with the Wichita Eagle.
Hello, Greg. I was talking to Zach Brown the other day, and he compared this team's defense when it's really going well to kind of a bunch of musicians, just really playing, everybody moving together, the harmony kind of thing. Has this group been particularly good as far as that kind of cohesive teamwork aspect of defense?
Well, they've been really easy to coach, if that's what you're asking. They do what we ask them to do. They're very obviously gifted and talented, and they've listened and learned. And I don't know about the music part, but maybe he's more musically inclined than I am, and see some similarities.
When Zach started, I guess you kind of knew he was going to be pretty solid as a defender, and then when Marcus McDuffie really developed, what kind of options, or how did that change how you were able to kind of build your defensive approach for this season?
Well, Zach's a very good athlete, 6'6", on the wing. He can really move his feet, run and jump. And we talked this summer, and he had big plans for his year and his career, and he talked about wanting to be player of the year. And I said, no, wait a minute. We need to understand that you've got two All-Americans, possible players of the year already on your team, and you might want to set goals that are a little more achievable. And I said, why don't we try to be the best defender we can be? Do your best to replace the Tikel Cotton position, and I think that's what he set out to do. And he's very, very good as a defender, and he's not the primary option offensively for us, but he can go get a basket, he can knock down a three, he can get to the line, get an offensive rebound, run the court. And then Marcus McDuffie, I honestly, I had no idea that he was going to be able to do what he did this year defensively coming in, because he's such a slight build, but he's not afraid. He moves his feet very well, and his length, along with Zach's 6'6", Marcus is 6'8", their length allows them to push back and keep people in front, and still contest their shot.
And then does that allow you to, I guess, keep Ron out of foul trouble, or target Ron to specific guys, or does it just make your defensive
Well,
that much
I mean, if we needed a stop to win a game, Ron Baker's probably going to be on the best offensive player, on the perimeter. He knows what is a foul, what is not. He knows the scouting report better than we do. He understands, not to jump in the air and go for a shot fake, all those things. So he would, if it just came down to one stop to win a big game, he would probably be on that guy. But because he is more offensively inclined at this point than Brown, we would put Brown on the primary scorer at the start of the game and allow Baker to not use up all of his energy chasing a guy around like that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Greg, that was your only line of questioning this morning. Thanks for your time, and good luck in St. Louis. We'll see you on Thursday.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Greg. This does wrap up our call. We'll ask the media to disconnect at this time. We'll ask the beat writers, however, to stay on the line for a quick roundtable of our beat writers who joined us today. And everyone else, please disconnect.